Oh, hello, and welcome to another tutorial in cameras and lens repair. And this time I will actually show how to declick a Carl Zeiss T Planar 1.7 and a 50mm, and this is for the Contax Yashica mount. So but I would like to show you how I actually have tried to declick this lens. It's a nice lens, and I would think somebody wants to use it to making video. The lens is very good for that, but the annoying click will come on the video. But how can we deal with that and get that away and still use the aperture ring, not as it is too loose and not is it too hard to move. So I have made some investigation about that and found a solution which I think is good and simple. So yeah, let's get into it. We need some tools. A good pointy tweezer is good. A JIS screwdriver. This is a 2.5mm from the Moody tools, which you can actually buy on ifixit.com. A pair of dentist tool can also be very handy. This is a brand called Zenith, Danish brand. A measure tool will also be very handy because we need to find out what we actually will need, a kind of solution in the lens. A knife, a pointy knife will also be good, and a scissor also. Now we need some, in this case we need some 0.25mm plastic sheet. This is actually from a package of blinds for the windows, and I think okay, it looks like it's a good plastic thingy to work with, and I simply cut it in a shape like this. So, and if we see it in real life, it will be this tiny piece of plastic. So let's get into it, see what we can do. It's not that hard. The only thing we need to do is actually take out the 4 screws here. One there, and there. There is no need to take out the 3 screws here. No. So take care of the little steel ball in here and the little spring. And the steel ball I will take out and use the spring again. I think it will be the best solution. So, but let's get into it. Off with the screws. Quite easy. So there. It's good with a magnetized screwdriver. So, and the last screw you take out, you just let it stay on the screwdriver, because when you put back in the mount, it will be much easier to just put the mount on and then put the screw in. You do not need to have to fiddle with the screws, screwdrivers and tweezers and so just let it stay on. Since it's magnetized, it's really good. Now off with the with the mount, which I need to move things a little. So to get off the mount, you need to press the aperture connection pin to the camera. Push it as much as you can and set the aperture to something 16. And then hold on the aperture ring itself, and you see there are some tension in here. It's from the spring that push against the mount and the steel ball and the click plate. Now push this pin here and then take it out. So this is how it looks on the back. And we do not need to have anything to do in here. The spring has to sit on and stay on, because if not, it will not push on the aperture when you when you move the aperture ring. So it's essential it sits on here. Now, what is the thing we come into? Off with that plate here. It can only sit in one position because of the lock pin here. It has to sit over here. So off with that plate. And the steel ball the steel ball disappear in here. But we need to take it out anyway. And it sits, normally it sits on here. So the only thing I will do is take out the steel ball and put it aside. Keep it, maybe you will use it another time if you're not satisfied with the declicking. Now the piece of plastic I made here is actually to cover the hole with the spring, because we need the spring here. So put the plate on here, and this is why I make a kind of a fork here, and so we can actually put on the aperture ring here. There, it should stay there. And put the plate on. Well, if I do not do that, we can just make the test. If I say, okay, I take out the spring and the little steel ball and then put the plate on here again, what will then happen? Well, you'll see, because the aperture ring will be absolutely loose and very easy to move, maybe too easy. So, but what's more important, the aperture will simply just close, even if you move the aperture ring. So let's see what's happened. Doesn't take that long. So we put it on again. There. There, and find the holes. So now you'll see what's happened if I just, so there, and where the other screws went. So if you think, okay, it's so easy, just take out the steel ball and the spring, and that's it. No, it isn't. We do not need to put the last screw in. What actually happened is we begin with the closed aperture at 16, and if I move the aperture ring, look what happened. I set it up to 1.7, but the aperture ring or the aperture assembly will move back again and close the sometimes, and it's not good. because it's too loose in here. And of course this pin for the that moved the aperture assembly in there has too much tension on the spring, so it will move. It will move the, close the aperture again as much as it can. So that's not good. So that's why I decide to actually put a spacer. This is the little plastic thingy. So it will act as the steel ball was in there, but not with any clicks. So there, where did it go here? So there. And we'll just add the screw to the screwdriver. Now take out the mount again, and let's see what we can do about it. So I decided to simply, the plate here has to sit in there. If not, there is no, there's too much space for the aperture ring that will move around. So what I decided to do is actually put in the spring again and let it sit there. Now add some, in this case I will use the Helimax because it's a more thick grease for actually making some kind of stickiness to the aperture ring. So and also because of its doesn't have to be much, but it also, there's no need to add a lot of grease around the aperture ring in here, so it's only here, right there, we need some grease on it. Actually it's not there, it's on the opposite side, but it will just make it easier to have it a bit sticky here. So that's it, and that's the other side of the plastic sheet here. Just add a little, oh, too much, made too much. So that will be more than enough. And if you want, you can just make it more sticky or less sticky. It depends on what you want the aperture ring to be, sticky or not. So next thing is actually to put the plate here in again, ring. So, and it sits there. Now I tried different piece of sheet plastic from the extremely thin, this one here, but it was way too thin. And I try a other piece which was, well, it was also too thin. This is why I found the 0.20 plastic sheet and simply cut it into the shape you actually see here on the paper. And the measure is actually the full width here, and the length is 10.6 millimeter and the width is 10.2 millimeter. And then there is a gap up here, which is actually the gap here. And it's, let's see what it is by measure it. Well, it's actually 4 millimeter, so there's a little space between each side of the pin, so it will be something like, yeah, 4 millimeter would be fine. And this is the piece of plastic I set in here. So now I can actually just put the mount on again and say that's fine. But is it? I would guess so. The little piece of plastic will not fool around because it is held in place by first the gap here, and is very close to the edge of the aperture ring. This is why I cut this line here. It's not 90 degree here and 90 degree here. It's less than 90 degree, so we have a steep here, so it's not squared. So let's I think we'll just take a little of this grease away. Doesn't have to be too much, but let's put on the mount and see how it will go. So remember, this pin has to sit on this side, so the pin here will actually push on the aperture, and if you by mistake put it on the other side, well, this one will move a little, but it will not push on the aperture pin here. So be sure about that. So if we do so, it has to sit like this. Hope you can see it. So move it there and simply add the mount. So there. And then you can just click on it. So now we can just put in a screw here, and let's see how good it will be. It will be the same if you have a 50 millimeter 1.4. It's the same construction. So let's see, it will be interesting. One would probably say it's a bit sticky, but I mean, to me it actually works pretty good. Doesn't have to be much pressure on the aperture ring, but so it is without any click. If you want the aperture ring to be more loose, you could probably use a thinner piece of plastic that will, or we could also take out the little spring in here. So but that's it. That's all for me now. So I hope you can use the info in this video about declicking this nice old lens and use it for videos. So that's all for me. Bye bye.